Welcome to the video podcast of Silicon and Spice, where tech leaders share life's flavors. And today, I'm joined by my good friend, Shyvee, who currently is the community and product lead of Microsoft Teams. And you're also a LinkedIn creator. You're pretty famous. So we'll start with a rapid fire as intro question. I think that'll be pretty fun.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you for being here. Remote or in office?
That's a really hard one. I would say most of the time office.
Okay.
But recently, I enjoy remote work as well.
Yeah, well, nice. Okay. Coffee or tea?
Coffee.
Coffee, cheers. Android or iPhone?
iPhone.
iPhone. I'm team Android though. Hard pivots or small iterations?
Hard one. Small iteration on a big strategy. Not
Okay.
optimization.
If you know destination, you know the way to get there, but it's not something that you change directions all the time. Yeah. Product strategy or execution?
Another really hard one. 10% strategy, 90% execution.
Oh, that's a good mix. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
Maybe, but in my mind though, like I would love to do 40% of strategy work and 60% of execution. Actually, with AI, that might be possible.
Possible. Inbox zero or infinity?
Infinity. I do not care about inbox zero.
Right.
Doesn't work for me.
I'm an inbox.
Right. Doesn't work on me. Yeah, that's a hard realization. So for the majority of my life, I would say I fascinated about consumer, like most people who wanted to become a consumer PM, But I think the future, especially the next 10, 15 years with AI, I think the future is in B2B.
B2B, nice. If you could choose overnight 10x user growth or overnight 10x revenue?
Revenue.
All right, get the money first. Nice. Wow, this is really fun. That's the intro. All right, so now the real question is, what is your path into product management?
Yeah, that's a great question. So many of you, if you follow my path, you might know that I consider myself a pivoter because I didn't start it out like many of the lucky APMs out there in the world. I didn't know what PM was. I studied econ back in undergrad in Hong Kong. I did an international program where I get to spend time in Europe, Hong Kong, and Boston to learn about international commerce. And so just like anyone who didn't know what they wanted to do, the most popular two jobs at the time was investment banking or consulting. So I spent a summer at JP Morgan in Hong Kong. It was fancy, but I didn't really like banking, so I decided to go into consulting. And so I joined Accenture through their digital strategy program and had a pretty fun 3 years there. I work for 3 different clients in Sydney, Singapore, and Hong Kong. So I get to travel quite a bit, working in 3 different industries with telecommunications, retail, luxury retail.
Nice.
That was really fun. Girl's dream. And financial services. And then I found my interest in design thinking and also following many former consultants to come into business school. So I get into Kellogg, pursue a dual degree in engineering design thinking and a traditional MBA. So ever since graduation, I moved to the Bay Area. I went back to consulting, did some digital strategy, very quickly regretted it, went into tech. Like it's the hot thing to do in Silicon Valley at the time. And I started out working in a more business function, helping to build sales productivity tools. That was my B2B experience, actually. Learn a lot, but very context specific to selling SaaS product for LinkedIn across different line of business. That's when my consumer dream came about. And I reflected on, I'm actually the first generation in my family to attend college. So education has played a really, really important role for me. And that's why I decided to join my dream team at LinkedIn Learning. I'm a PM there. And at LinkedIn Learning, I did a lot of different features from platform to search and discovery to, onboarding, growth. So the whole spectrum. And then about 2.5 years ago, I transitioned into more of a monetization role for online jobs to help our small and medium-sized business hire better and hire faster. And then my last role at LinkedIn before transitioning into Microsoft was helping LinkedIn grow into the next segments or vertical that don't traditionally use LinkedIn to unlock opportunities beyond sort of the quote unquote white collar professionals. So we're looking at nurses, teachers, and helping to create opportunities for them to leverage our platform. So that's quite a journey.
That's all.
becoming a PM.
Yeah, I find it fascinating because my first job, I also started at a center, but I was a software consultant slash developer. And then I found, and then one of the project I was on, I was a product manager. And then I thought about pursuing the MBA route, but eventually I decided, okay, I'm just gonna kind of dig deeper into the PM world.
Right.
MBA, but
yeah, it's very funny, actually. That brought a piece of the memory, also probably advice to anyone who's listening and are aspiring PM. I think what happened was, since I didn't study computer science or any of the technical subject, I always thought my strengths was storytelling, making really beautiful slides when that was still a thing. Yeah. That was my superpower when I was in consulting. I'm so proud of it. So for a long time, I think I was always debating between pursuing like a strategy or biz ops role versus product. And it took me quite some time. You know how like when you are in between decisions, you suffer from like decision analysis paralysis, and that's when you don't make as much commitment. So the moment that I think I probably spent a good 2 to 3 years in that realm. Also, when I was in Hong Kong, there was no such thing as product manager. Yes, my job at Accenture entails a lot of product management, but it wasn't the product management title or the Silicon Valley, how Silicon Valley would consider it. So then I think I spent a lot of time trying to going between those two options. And you can say it's not the most effective use of time, because once I zero in of like, oh, I really want to become a PM, that's what things happen in 6 months. So I think for whoever's like considering your decision, your due diligence, but then commit to a path. Like don't always like swing. I think that will help out. But go out and collect data points. Like right now, I feel like PM roles are increasingly harder and harder to get. And so I think in addition to committing yourself, but also doing a lot of experiments, like how to get there? Would you like the job? Are there anything else that would give you the same level of experience, but not necessarily, quote unquote, give you the PM?
Yeah. I think having the experience of doing that matters more than the title. And then probably for you, so you started as business sales, right, in LinkedIn, and then you transitioned into LinkedIn Learning. And then you also had a LinkedIn Learning series, some personal productivity. So my question is, what are some 2 to 3 key takeaways from your time on LinkedIn?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think first is the culture and people, because a lot of people always think about LinkedIn being this like great company that, people have a lot of fun working together. I think I formed some of the best relationship, like personal friends with my LinkedIn coworkers outside of work. And every time you think about like, should I stay or should I look for another opportunity? You always think about the people that you work with. So I really think those little moments and little touches, LinkedIn does a really good job elevating that. A great way to retain employees for any companies out there that still cares about culture. I think the second thing that I learned is mission. So I mentioned before that I was a consultant, so I had the opportunity to actually work for 12 different clients at, Fortune 1000 companies at different capacity, nonprofits, retail, government, and a lot of different settings. A lot of times, I think what I noticed was first, people either could not recite like what the mission statement is, or they would print it on the wall, but no one really referred to it at all.
It's just there.
It's there, like a paper. Like a paper tiger or whatever the English phrase is, like it's mouth service, but not actually walk the talk. Right. But I think LinkedIn make it very special because every time we present anything, any idea, the PRD, the first thing that we lay out is always that LinkedIn's mission is to create economic opportunity for every member of the global workforce. And then I would break down how my idea level up to that company mission. Right. So everyone's like really talking about it. This is how we define success criteria, defining true north, looking through the lens of member first. I think LinkedIn is truly a quiet mission-driven company.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. I think it's actually pretty rare to work for a company that truly cares about the mission. So that's definitely a good place to be. The next question is, you're also a well-known LinkedIn creator. You have more than 118,000 followers. What are some key inspirations for your LinkedIn posts?
Yeah, that's a great question. So traveling down the memory lane a little bit, I think some of these inspiration actually came from COVID when we were all stuck at home and everybody's trying to look for their creative outlet. I think at the time I was subscribing to quite a bit of different newsletters, and some of them were created by like creators themselves. I myself consider myself a creator in the sense of like, I love sharing knowledge.
Yep.
It's just something that comes natural. And for anyone who have done a competency assessment, you'll know that, you have like those quadrants, the 2x2 quadrants by your competency and your passion. So there's like things that you're passionate about, but not very competent or will never achieve true level of mastery. So for that for me is like cooking, for example.
Okay.
And most recently, maybe golf. And then there's things like that I have like true competence, but mine might not be my true passion. So things like analyzing Excel spreadsheets. I can do it, but it might not be like my passion. I wouldn't dream about like analyzing hundreds of spreadsheets, right? But then my zone of genius, which is a combination of passion and competence. I feel like a lot of times I love inspiring people. I love creating. I always joke, and people ask me this question, if money is not a problem, what would I do? I think it would be like a motivational speaker.
Nice.
Or artist.
I see that. Yeah.
So that's why I wanted to start sharing knowledge and sharing what I learned. I also had a lot of experience at the time to actually get to share, which was this whole pivoter journey. I think it really resonated with people of like how careers is not a linear path and it has to go through a lot of ups and downs. And then also at the time, LinkedIn was pioneering a company-wide strategy called the knowledge creator strategy.
Okay.
So it was inspiring a lot of people to create, to learn more about the tools. And I'm always the learning by doing mindset. So for me to learn how these things work, I have to get hands-on. I have to learn about it. So over time, I think that just helps me to get more and more comfortable crafting my story, sharing online. And like I learned a lot from the whole journey, from how to, position myself, tell a good story, the goods and bads of personal brand. It comes with a lot of, shadows of your superpower kind of thing. And then it gives me a lot of opportunities. Like I was able to be on the stage to co-host Women in Product with, for 2 years consecutively. And obviously a lot of other opportunities that I would not have thought, would come about. So it's definitely a great creative outlet and something that helps me actually fuel my day job as well. It keeps me being creative, being resourceful, being scrappy. A good experience.
Yeah, I would say I think LinkedIn has a really good community of members. Like, sure, there are like kind of cringe posters, but in any platform. But I would say I actually learned a lot from LinkedIn, like whether it's industry news or like other people's podcasts or newsletters, or even some breakdown, different like economic things you've seen in life. So I think like it's a really good platform to access expert knowledge. And then I share kind of random stuff on LinkedIn as well. Sometimes like parenting thoughts, sometimes I share memes, but I do think LinkedIn has actually a lot of potential and really, really strong potential for that.
Thank you. Glad that you feel that way.
Yeah. You wrote a book about AI last year. Actually, I read it and I recommend to many friends.
Thank you.
I love how you kind of broke down on the history of artificial intelligence, like how you evolved. And then in the end, you also have like sample prompts for product managers. I find that very useful.
Thank you.
And now you are a product community lead at Microsoft Teams. So how did you incorporate AI into your day-to-day job? And also outside of your...
Yeah, I have so much to talk about that. Yeah. So day to day, it's funny because a fun fact this week that I was like bragging about to my family members was that I probably sent out about 50 posts/emails this week.
Okay.
I drafted literally zero of them because I instruct my AI to help me craft that. And it's so natural, especially as someone whose English is a second language. You can actually tell the AI what you want to say, how you want to say it, who is it to, how you want to emphasize certain points to make it sound more collaborative, more friendly, more respectful. So I do that. So email, definitely. I also use it as a brainstorming partner. I actually train a couple different AI assistants based on the type of work I do. So like one of them put a lot of different growth articles and methodology and case studies that I accumulate over the years. I put it as a project file inside and to train it as my growth marketing advisor to help me come up with creative ideas and solutions. So that's one use. I also have a career coach.
You mentioned in that book where...
So career coach that teaches me, like, help me identifying blind spot in my thinking, which I thought was one of the biggest shadows that I didn't notice when I was building my brand on LinkedIn, because I was so successful. Everybody was like praying about me, thinking that I'm like doing really awesome work.
Yeah.
But just like everybody, you always have like things that you work on. So yeah, I was like trying to work with GPT over time to improve on certain specific leadership and executive presence skill to help me show up better, especially in times of difficulties, challenges, low morale, low resourcing, and etc. I also use AI for a lot of therapy work, thinking about outside of work, and I find that super helpful because it's so personalized. You know, like we all have our different stories. I try out a lot of human therapists too, but I feel like depending on their training, like I come from a pretty unique background, right? Growing up in Asia, having Asian parents, anyone who's Asian out there probably understands that. And then you come from a very high pressure achievement culture, working in Silicon Valley, where the world's most concentrated billionaires, and, you know, smart people. Yeah. And then I'm also going through a lot of transition myself, right? Finding my identity, finding my work. As a pivoter, you always look at some 20-some-year-old that's PM, super smart, on the upward trajectory, navigating corporate versus should I, you know, do something on my own? Or how people romanticizing solopreneurship, for example, and figure out, is that the right path for me? Is the next step? Like, there's a lot of open questions, and I use AI actually to help me figure some of these stuff out. And my most recent passion, as we talk about, is golf. My husband's family is a golf family. But golf is a very hard sport to pick up. The learning curve is quite steep. So I actually do have a golf AI coach together with a real human coach.
So it's a combined. Okay.
Combined, because the reason is golf has a lot of terminologies. I don't know if any of you like learn it. You will learn those new terms like fat shot, thin shot, different clubs, you know, like different strategies, course management, swing path, swing plane. Like, again, like English, those English aren't hard. Or you just like don't get it. Right? So then I would ask my golf AI coach to help me understand, like, why am I, like, what does that mean? What are the courses that could cause that? Like, what are some drills that I can practice?
Break down the issues you might have from the kind of golfing practice, and then your AI coach will give you more
personalized recommendation, and then I'll share with my human coach and say, well, which one of these applies to me more? I did try to use AI to show me like a before and after drill, but AI is not there yet. That part for sure.
Okay.
And then what else? I also built like a AI LinkedIn ghostwriter that summarizes some of the best practices I learned over the years, as well as what I accumulated online about how to write viral LinkedIn posts. So then fee has always been my experiment ground. Yeah. So don't trust anything that I said on the feed because it could be human, it could be AI, but I had fun just like testing it and learning about how the algorithm decides what goes viral, what not. So yeah, it's a good forcing function for me to learn as well. I use AI pretty much for everything now.
Okay. So do you use one tool that you dedicate all the different projects into?
Yeah, that's a great question. No, I would say 70% I use ChatGPT just because it has memory. So the more I use it, the more it knows about me, and it has all the context. Yeah. And I gossip to AI. So I feed it with more and more information that it knows about me, what I'm working on, the dynamics that I'm navigating, and etc. But then I also use other tools like Claude, for example, for artifacts, which is a visualization tool that will give you different scenarios to play with, or rapid prototyping. Recently, I used Raplets to create an AI trivia game as a lead magnet for the community. I use Canva to create a lot of images and stuff for the events. I'm also building I also built a custom GPT to help me like do all the events, marketing, writing event brief, writing event recap newsletter, train on some of Lanny's best newsletter and my own newsletter.
Oh, okay.
So right now I would say first draft is 90% of the time the final draft, actually. Yeah. And with Canvas, the functionality in ChatGPT that you can do real-time editing, and it's there.
Yeah. Oh, nice.
So, and also this past holiday, I started to experiment with a lot of creative use case. Also, as part of the AI community learning program in Alpha back in November, we got to experience a lot of tools. And so I discovered a site called SegMind. I'm happy to drop the link in the show notes. And it has a lot of the latest image and video generation model. So I've been like trying to play with it. One of the latest use cases that I'm using are video generation, which you will see if you share the beta video. And let's see if you can tell if it's human or my AI avatar. The other thing I wanted to create is, sometimes on LinkedIn, you see a lot of female creators. I don't want to drop the names, but they have like really beautiful posters about, themselves sitting in a cafe. And then I really want to create those photos too, but I'm not as photogenic, or sometimes I don't have as much money or beautiful clothes, or time to shoot those. So I've been like experimenting with different workflows to create avatars of myself in different fashion. And it's been quite successful, I would say. So I'm excited to share those out as part of my future sharing.
That's awesome. Yeah. I think I started subscribing to Cloud probably a year ago. There was always like hesitation in me, like, do I want to pay $20 a month? Do I want to do it? But then I realized, I'm paying for the technology to move forward. If I just use the free tool, you'll never get the best out of it.
Right.
So I realized if you want to be good at something, you actually have to pay out or something.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. You commit to it. Also, like Lenny's, for those Lenny's newsletter pay subscribers, you get, Perplexity pay subscription for free. Yeah. So I use that as well to do deep research. The recent feature that they roll out, I find that quite helpful. And I use a lot of voice detection tools like Whisperflow. That's a good one. Yeah, those are probably my go-to. Like not that many, but it definitely has a workflow for, and GPT right now is still the predominant one. Yeah.
No, I know. I think the voice dictation is a game changer.
Yeah.
After I watched Tal's lightning lessons, because you almost feel like you were brainstorming with a PM intern, right? You can have knowledge, have brainstorming sessions and critique, and then just get the information kind of tailored to the audience.
Yeah.
They fresh, unfiltered like opinions.
Yeah, exactly. I definitely think that's the future of work.
Yeah.
And sometimes when I go for a walk, I just talk to my AI about therapy and stuff, right? Like reflection and things like that. And that's how the AI would know about me. So usually if I go out for a walk for 15, 20 minutes, by the end of the walk, I gain so much perspective and clarity. Because I was able to, chat with the AI. Like other fun use cases over the holiday, for example, I got to explore quite a few creative use cases. Like I was using different tools to create a musical about Anderson Cooper's mother, Gloria Vanderbilt. And for those who are Americans, you might heard about the Vanderbilt family being one of the, I think, top 5 richest family. And
this is the one they also have university? Different.
This is a different, I think it's, yeah. So I research her story and then make it into like a Hamilton-inspired musical storyboard. So I created the visual, animated the images. I used another tool that my startup friend created called Audio Wizard to narrate the book. So it has different soundtracks. And so, a full production all in 1 hour. And it's like my dream come true. Like, literally picture how it would look in front of the screen, like a Broadway production. And then the other thing was Agar Paul Ellen, like who does a lot of like dark humor, like mystery, strategy. So we got a box of puzzle from Etsy, and then we were just like listening to his story while putting the puzzle together of different rooms and different stuff. So then during Christmas, I don't know if any of you were using ChatGPT actively, in the voice mode, they had a Santa voice. So I had Santa basically read or recreate the stories in an emotional way. And I would instruct the Santa to pronounce it in ways that would evoke the same emotion. And since English is my second language, so it wasn't coming natural to me to interpret some of those stories while I was working on the puzzle of multitasking. So I had ChatGPT that also interpreted key takeaways and learnings of that story in modern terms.
Wow.
And how it would relate to my situation,
Okay.
given I've been doing a lot of reflection with ChatGPT.
Okay.
So that it would tailor, that story.
Coach. Yeah.
Exactly. And happening on demand with $20.
I think you definitely take advantage of the $20, right? There's so many different use cases.
For sure. Obviously, in addition to like summarizing feedback from stakeholders, learning about AI news, I built another bots that would summarize daily AI news for me. Yeah. So these are just
amazing.
Some use cases, but there's always more that comes out. But I would say one thing I learned though also is like, you should start with really low expectation. Sometimes I realized when I experienced something that works out really cool, I had like sky high expectation for my next agent. And it wouldn't work at the beginning, but then a lot of people would give up right away. What they didn't realize though is that it might just take another 2 or 3 iterations to get it to be really good. So it wasn't like 10 iterations away from the really good one. It's only 2 or 3.
The question, hard pivots were small iterations. So instead of giving up this tool, but you start to
small iteration.
Tune it a bit more. Right?
Yeah. And then you need to learn how to work smart with AI. So for example, I might curate a certain set of like instructions that I thought was written really well, like a system instruction. And I would use them as template and ask AI to write something similar for me, especially in deep research. For example, a lot of times where hey, help me research this company. But a lot of times the best type of deep research would mention about where to pull the resources, how to structure,
credibility they show.
Yeah, so you can actually instruct the AI to write that for you and then use that as an input for another model to produce output. So I've been like working with a lot of think about it like a different workflow. Some steps are helping me create input. Then it becomes the output of one tool becomes the input of another tool.
Okay.
And then vice versa. So getting smart about that flow is actually really important.
Yeah. So you have your customized flow that will work really well in different scenarios that tailor to your own needs.
And then I would start to form a better sense of like, should one agent handle multiple tasks or should each task be narrowed down and break down into multiple agents? Because AI is really good for narrow tasks. So for example, when I write a LinkedIn post, I realize there's essentially 3 different workflows. One is researching what to write. And then the second is actually writing it. And then the third aspect is editing it. Based on we'll have like viral potential and like engagement hooks and all of that. So if you bundle all 3 into one, which was my starting point, it gives you mediocre, like a B-graded post. But if you are able to separate them into all 3, then it gives you more like A, close to A+.
That's when you mentioned the niche focus. Let it do one job really well.
Yeah.
And then before you move on.
But it comes with like iterations and trial.
Yeah. That's amazing. All right. That's a really good point about this AI. Like you start small, right? Don't have too much of a high expectation, but then you fine tune it to meet your needs.
Yeah, I would say start just like how you build product. You have a hypothesis. Same for working with AI. Like you have a hypothesis of what you wanted to create, but a lot of people's hypothesis is like way too high, right? Like create a music production. But no, you need to break it down into like, who's going to write the storyboard? Like who's the creative director that helps me with the storyboard? And then second person might be a Broadway director that helps you translate your storyline into visuals, into sound effects. And then the third person, like you need to like break down that workflow in order to get there.
Have the specialization really do the magic.
Yeah.
Of just like one general agent do everything. Yeah. That's a good one. Right. Now it's my favorite section about bonus questions. Since I work at Stitch Fits, actually this dress and this blazer are both from Stitch Fits. So I am a customer that I get a new box every other month. What is your favorite clothing brand?
Yeah, that's a great question. I remember when I was working at Hong Kong, fashion was much bigger a thing.
That is true. Asian, yeah.
And then ever since I work at LinkedIn, and I remember one day I was wearing what I normally wear to go to work.
Okay.
And one engineer would tell me like, why are you wearing so nice? Are you going on dates tonight?
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like, I'm just going to So then in order to blend in into Silicon Valley culture, I have changed completely to like more athleisure type of wear. And COVID just made me change my entire wardrobe. Like right now, when I go on to an activity or an event, it actually takes me quite a bit of activation energy to figure out what to wear. So my favorite current brand is Athleisure.
Yeah. Is it because you do
yoga?
You have exercise.
Yeah. So I just trying to be comfortable.
Yeah. Nice. Yeah. I think with people kind of the trend going back to office, like people would spend more time thinking, oh, what do I want to wear? Like, what is the new trend in office and stuff? So like having a stylist personalized for me actually is a big plus.
That's, actually one thing I also learned is maybe when for people who are not in the R&D function, but maybe even in R&D function, it helps to dress up.
Yes.
Because it shows up that you're showing up well.
Right. You feel like that you are being extra polished, right? I'll tell my son that sometimes if I do makeup, I will say I want to feel fancy today. No, it's not about like, oh, look more beautiful, but it's like I want to take myself even more seriously.
So you convey your image to the others.
Yeah. All right, now it's a spicy question time. What are your perspectives of product management as a profession? Like, do you think it will be replaced by AI?
Yeah, that's a great question. For those who follow me, you've probably seen that I posted at least twice. I think that I started with the hook line that says PM product management is dead, partly for virality and partly for reference to Claire Vo, who's a 3-time CPO, who mentioned this quote during Lenny's summit last year. My honest take is that this is not just happening to product management. Of course, it feels closer to home because we are product managers and a lot of people who follow me are product managers. People who are watching this video are either probably current product managers or aspiring product managers. So it feels like it's closer to home. But I guarantee you, I feel like 95% of the occupation out there are not subject to being drastically disrupted by AI. So for example, when Gemini first released their deep release research, and now with ChatGPT Plus soon coming to Plus, and Perplexity making it free as part of the $20 plan, you think consultants will still have a job, right? Like, with like 20 pages of document generated pretty much in like 10 minutes, especially for people who knows how to prompt it. Like you can get that report like in a pretty nice way. I use it to search which stocks to invest in, by the way. So I think the job will evolve, and I will wanted to put out some, since it's a spicy take question, that in the future, maybe title or roles are going to get very blurry. So I oftentimes call myself a full stack PM because I don't just do PM. I do all spectrum of PM. My platform is more back-end focused. I do a lot of consumer stuff, which are more front-end focused, some bit of AI, some bit of growth, discovery and search, e-commerce and back in the days when I work in consulting. And then now I do a lot of marketing as well. I do community building. I do user research. When there's a bit of data, I'm also trying to, use my very rusty SQL skills to put some data with help from AI. I also start coding, right? Like, I really like the new ChatGPT function where you can literally share your terminal and ask them to
so that's
help you.
Wow, that's really interactive. Okay.
Yeah, and asks you to help you to debug. And so I definitely think that in the future, it will be one person doing 2 or 3 people's job, and you could be wearing multiple hats. Maybe you are more like a problem managers rather than a
solver to
product managers. So I think you're prom experts, maybe prom master. Well, prom might not be a thing if AI knows so much about you. So I think we have to be open-minded about where the industry is going and how the role will change. I don't think any roles in the knowledge workforce is immune to that. So the advice I told myself, one is like, be really good at AI, trying to keep up as much as possible. Yes, there's a lot of anxiety, a lot of
very overwhelming for sure.
Yeah, very overwhelming for many people, but just, try to make it fun. And that's part of the reason why I do the AI community learning program. We're saying let's plug to let people to play and experiment with AI versus feeling very overwhelmed. So you can feel overwhelmed and still having fun using it. I think the second thing is to focus on things that don't change that much, that there are the constants. What I mean by that is every day you look at, there's new AI models that came out that are faster, cheaper, more versatile, has more memory, context window, multimodality. It's hard to keep up, right?
Yeah.
And then even if you work so hard, let's say for one functionality, and then overnight maybe something else came out that it will just completely replace you. So the things that don't change are things like who owns the customer, the distribution, the brand, things that don't change, including what's important for you, right? Like health, family, relationships.
Foundational stuff.
The foundational stuff. Keeping that in perspective, I think that's going to be really important. I also want to encourage, I think that, a lot of people worry about job loss and we're all going to be losing out to AI. Sure, that could be one part of the story. In fact, actually, New York Times 2 years ago, as part of my book, I did that research that people interviewing AI researchers on what they seen as the probability of doom. Meaning AI will take over the world, and that everybody ranges from 15% to 90%, but really the middle ground is about 30%. So, a healthy dose of skepticism. But if we can keep AI in check, meaning that, the responsible body is going to step up, I think could also be a world where we work way less.
We're more productive.
And then there might be universal income. So then some of us, if scarcity is no longer a problem or no longer the major bottleneck, I think a lot of us could spend a lot more time doing creative stuff and not necessarily worry about who's going to pay the bill next month. So I think that could be a world that's pretty exciting as well.
That's a good outlook. I
forget about it.
It's about doom. There are things that could be more optimistic for us.
Yeah. Because I think for a long time, human race are the way we are is because we always have scarcity problem, right? We always worry about energy. We always worry about food supply. But if we could make AI create food or create abundance, then there's less of a competition. Of course, you always going to have that 1% that's super ultra rich, that's kind of looked down upon everybody else. But we can also overall lifting the boats as well.
Yeah, I like that. That's a good perspective. That the way I think about it is kind of when the car got invented, right? The people who have skills and access to cars, they can go farther versus people who walk or do bikes. It's not necessarily bad. It makes you reach further, right? Go to different places. So that's why I think as product managers, we have to kind of embrace the AI. Sure, there are certain maybe tedious work could be replaced by AI. Let's say, maybe status reports are kind of tracking that kind of thing. But then what problem to solve, how to get to customers, what's the best way to get, you still have to do the work. But now you just have kind of the invisible wings to help you fly faster. Can you tell me more about the next cohort of the beta community?
The AI community learning program. All right. So what I'm doing right now in Microsoft is starting something brand new called the AI enthusiast community and the AI community learning program. The idea is that we learn better by learning together in a supportive community with global perspective and being very hands-on, playing with AI. So last November, we did a pilot cohort. You were the lucky 45 people selected out of 1,000 people from around the globe to play with AI 10 minutes a day. I asked for 10 minutes. Some people gave me 3 to 4 hours a day for three weeks. So I'm really, really, really grateful. And people have so much fun. And the idea is that starting from creative use cases actually lower the barrier to entry for people who wanted to play. And our human nature, again, mentioning about things that don't change for thousands of years as a kid, is playing. So it really actually opens up your repertoire, your perspective and your perception of AI. So a lot of people become much more flexible and open-minded to experiment AI. So starting with creative use cases actually eventually help with productive work-related use cases as well. So we're ready to scale. A beta program is coming. It's better, bigger, and it will be more fun. So, over the course of March is when we will start the beta program. We will have group people into small groups led by our teaching assistant, TA. Some of them were Alpha graduates, and some of them were Microsoft employees and other, enthusiastic AI practitioners who can help guide us. Every week, we'll have a challenge prompt. We ask you to commit 1 hour a week to learn a new AI tool. We have a custom GPT built by one of our graduates to guide you through that reflection and exploration process. So by the end of that 1 hour, you'll have a project ready to share with the community. You will share what you learn, what you try, and then you can share that on LinkedIn as well. So we have built-in prompts to guide the AI to help you draft a viral prompt. And you can share online. And over the week, we will also summarize the community wisdom from across all the participants trying out different tools to learn together. And this is quite a special shared experience. So I'm really excited to see that coming to life. We'll drop the link to check it out and, in the show notes. Check it out and apply and let me know what you think. I hope to see many, many of you in beta.
Yeah, it's a really good one. And I think what makes it really fun compared to different other AI learning programs is that people can feel overwhelmed, right? You start small, right? I think 10 minutes, no matter how busy you are, 10 to 15 minutes, you have one question, one problem prompt for people to solve. I remember I drew Winnie the Pooh on a napkin and then I made it move, you do some animation. And then just throughout that program, I realized, there are so many other tools for video generating, for summarizing PDF, for research. So it felt less intimidating for me because, unless somebody works with AI, day to day, sometimes you don't know where to get started. And then have that community learning together, people asking questions and people helping out. I think that makes a bit.
Yeah. And then also seeing how people use the same instruction and have 50 ways of solving the same problem. It's oh my gosh, we have people forming business plans to start a pickleball facility, people who wrote a song about Brazil, people who make Disney animation about family, a Coco version, a movie style Lion King movie animation, and these are people who didn't know how to use the AI when they started the program. So it's really fun. It's completely free. So I'm hoping to see many of you there.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Shyvee. I learned a lot today.
Thank you. All right. Bye.